create an API with the object that we got from the it was like the encryptor of passwords. We're gonna create an object that will prompt out the password encrypted on two versions, and after we create that API, we are supposed just to make a call to the API and compare the password with the password that we're inserting in the database, sorry, in the user interface, and that's all that we need. But first, let's make the API. Sadly, I'm going to be honest with you. In times past, this was not complicated. I mean, this was not such complicated. It was just creating a database in MySQL, and you just encrypted the password, and after that, blah 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 blah, and the waves of the water were extended, and a woman was from a stick, and the stick was a woman. Anything. What I'm trying to say is simple. Um, this was not as complicated as with the time is becoming, sadly. But I'm not trying to say that I would like to be behind others. What I'm trying to say is that sadly many people are trying to go too fast in life when they do not even understand yet what they actually know. Okay, let's go here to the code. And let's here look for Google, and let's make the object that we had before. Okay, password encryption outline, just like that. And this was, I think that it was this one, that the one that I used before. Yes, it was this one. Look, it says blah 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 here as well. Nice. Now let's put here the password that I placed before, just like this, and encrypt my password. It's supposed to encrypt it in the same way, okay? Because I am in the same computer, I have the same IP, I have the same everything in a certain way. But I am going to suggest you something. You are not supposed to do this very often, okay? Because this is kind of delicate. And also the JSON that we're going to create to create the comparisons is going to be just with, for example, the standard encryption, the chat one, and the base 64. Only those three, for example. And the original string we're gonna leave. We're not gonna take it because we are going to compare is the encryption, not the password itself. Because if we compare the password, we will have a vulnerability in the, even in the, for example, in the application itself, and we don't want that. Okay, what we want is to show the encryption and to compare it. Even though the user inserted this, for example, we're not gonna show this. We're gonna show the encryption, and we're gonna compare the encryption, and we're gonna send the user if the encryptions are as expected. Now, remember that this encryption is supposed to be as the one that I had before. So I saved this object, I mean this image, in another place that is supposed to be secret for me. When the video is finished, I'm going to compare this image with the one that I got before. And in that way, I will make sure that what I'm doing is not having errors. Okay? At least not on my side. Okay. And something even more interesting is that we can even add like a salt to this chat, for example. And we can add it also in the secret place that we have, and in that way we will create a super in certain way super much more stronger password than this encryptator. But this is going to take too much if I keep telling to you the options that we have. So let's just go deep into the code itself, and how to create like an API. To create an API is just the directory, for example, API, and it depends on the language that you would like to use. In my case, I like PHP because it's very easy for me to understand since a very long time ago. But I will be honest to you, I know Node.js, for example, and Node.js is not a bad idea. I mean, if you want to make an API very fast, Node.js is not necessarily a bad idea. But as better you know something, as more control what? As more control what? As more control you may have over it. As simple as that. So let's go here, index.php, for example. And now, how to create an API on PHP? I'm going to be honest with you, this is just a matter of how you look at it, because it depends on two things. There are people that think that an API is just a place where you can get the data from, and it's truth. That is an API. But the truth is that in this case, we are going to create a RESTful API. What is a RESTful API? A RESTful API is an API that is showing, for example, in this case, let's say that we want to say that this is the API users place. And in the RESTful API to the users, I am supposed to get the info of each user depending, let's say, of the username. So this is going to get kind of more complicated with the time. At the beginning, we're gonna just compare one user, but with the time, as the time grows, we're gonna compare depending on the user. We're gonna say if user is similar to the one that is in the database this, then retrieve this kind of object from the API. Okay. Now, what is the tricky part of the API? The tricky part is simple, that it is just an object that you will show from, let me show, object as JSON from PHP. As simple as that. I'm gonna say it just like this. Look, here is even a class. And you would say, Rina, how do you know that JSON is a valid name, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be honest with you. God said, God is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship in a spirit and in truth. What I'm trying to say is that you should not be very worried of the name of the object itself that shows the data. Instead, you should be worried about getting the data, let's say, in the best, similar, or closest way as I am doing it. If you do it in that way, you should not be worried about anything else in a certain way, because that is exactly what I'm doing. Okay, JSON here, for example, let's show this PHP file to see it. Look, this is just an example of a RESTful API on let's say PHP, and you would say, just as simple as that right now it can be. Yes, the truth is that in certain way it's just as simple as that. Now let's go to the let's say that we would like to have the JSON, sorry, the API coming from a static data. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to get the data from the database, which is the way that we are supposed to get it. Let's get it from the basic data, just like this. And let's, instead of echo, let's say print R. I think that is print R. There's a way of showing the JSON in a formatted way. Formatted printing JSON in PHP. JSON pretty, something like that. It is like this. JSON encode. Okay. Oh, okay. It is just a matter of adding this method over here. You would say, but Reynold, is that possible? I mean, are you sure of what you're doing? Remember what I told you, God is a spirit. In other words, if you are doing it in another way or with another language that seems to be different, maybe the problem is that actually, yes, let's stop this and start it again because I was not supposed to have it all running. I don't want, okay, let's just close this here and open it as administrator, Sam, because if you remember, I suggested you to run it as administrator the last video that we installed it, okay? Let's go. Yes, and in here, let's stop here. And you can see that now it is stopped, okay? Now let's run it again as administrator, and you will say, Reina, twice. Yes, it's because it was kind of confused. Let's say that we would like to now be completely sure of what we're doing and start it again. And start it. Now let's go to, okay, I hope that it doesn't give any error. Okay, it didn't give it. Let's go to the, for example, localhost and perfect. Let's see the name of the simply diary. Just like this. Simply diary. And here we're gonna put API users that PHP. There you go. This is like the API. This is the RESTful API. You will say, that was it, Reno? Yes, that was it in certain way. In the next video, instead of the name, we're gonna show, for example, it doesn't have to be in the next video. For example, let me show you. Just for you to not to feel that I am kind of betraying you or something like that. Let's place this object name, instead of name is going to be username, and instead of age it's going to be like this. And let's say that this is going to be encryptation. As simple as that. Now let's place it here. Let's say that that is going to be my user, and the encryption is going to be this. Remember that I stopped it, okay? I stopped the sound. If I am not wrong. Yes, I stopped it. You know why I stopped it? Because as I am changing the PHP file, I don't want to interrupt the server side. Maybe they are working on a saving and updating just at a glance. I don't know. I mean, you know, saving and updating the server side just right before you make a change. And if they are doing so, I don't want to interrupt their job, not even indirectly, you know. So let's now refresh, and you will see there that was everything. I mean, this is everything. Now in the next video, I'm gonna retrieve the encryptation, and I'm gonna compare it with the encryptation that is supposed to come from an user. Okay. See you the next time, and remember that Jesus Christ of Nazareth loves you much more than 5,000 of water bottles, including oil. Bye bye.